Meeny, miny, mo. I have 3 readings that I wanted to do, but I think I'm going to, given how the service is going, read one called If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men, and I would add, all people, doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves and knavettes, to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after you're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men and women count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man or woman. My son, 2 of them are here, my friends. That's Rudyard Kipling.
Big hymnal.
Winston Churchill's probably most famous speech was to a graduating class at a university, where he got up and sort of moseyed over to the lectern and said, "Never give up." Never give up. Never give up. And he walked off the stage and sat down. Were it not that I am a litigator or former litigator, I should probably say, love is all there is, and now is all that's real. And sit down. But the ham in me, forgive me, Lord, I'm supposed to be a Muslim, The ham in me just can't stop. But if you remember nothing else from this experience, consider accepting the proposition that love is all there is, and that we have engaged over the span of thousands of years in taking that single soul truth and making up stories about other things. I didn't just discover that yesterday, but I find myself, when I'm faced with a challenge, which used to be called problems, that if I remind myself that I have a choice as to how I am going to answer the challenge, I do much better. Because we all have a choice. And the choice is whether to react, which is a composite of all of our prior experiences in life, most of which, if not all, being fantasies anyway, or I can respond. And when I am alive enough and present enough and in the now enough to realize that I can respond rather than react, then I can inwardly feel better about myself, because I have exercised the ultimate goal, at least for me, which is to realize that I create my reality. And given that I do that, I always have the choice of making it one based on the notion that love is all there is. It can get really difficult, because what we have to do at that point is fight with all of the stuff that we've been accumulating since day one. And somehow working through that stuff takes effort. It takes being in the now. Because that is all we have. That is all that's real. If you think for a second that anything that happened yesterday is real anymore, it isn't. It's a replay of something that serves no good purpose. Actually, it serves a negative purpose, because you can't live in that time frame in your mind and also be present. You can't do both things. As hard as you might try, it's not possible. So I find myself often, having to pinch myself and say, remember, all of that story is a story, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is right this moment. And trying to capture the moment while it's still here is a trick. But that's what I have to do. It makes life a lot easier. It makes life a lot easier when we shed all of the baggage that we carry around with us. It doesn't really matter. Forget about fault. Forget about problems, challenges. The truth of the matter is, We are here now. And all the rest of it is a fantasy, a story, an illusion. So, stripped of layers of gobbledygook, down to our pure selves, love is what we are. It is the natural state of the universe, of which we are each an integral part. As we are here together, let's acknowledge our literal oneness. We are all connected to one another at the submolecular level, whether we want to admit it or accept it or not. There is no you and me. There is no you and me. There is no duality. There's no getting away from it. We can construct imaginary borders. We can belong to our separate groups. We can follow different customs. We can live in different places. We can have different beliefs. But beyond all of that, and more cogently, we are miraculously interconnected on a demonstrable physical basis. I mean, quantum physics leaves little room for disputing that scientific fact. So, Eckhart Tolle, who is an incredibly powerful contributor to this day's awareness, points out, you're not separate from the whole. You're connected to the sun, the earth, the air. You don't have a life. You are life. Not to get too heavy, and with a bit of levity, scientists say that the universe is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. They forgot to mention morons. Speaking of miracles, that we are breathing is a miracle. That we are is a miracle. I chuckle when I hear someone say, this or that is a miracle, as if just being is anything less than a miracle. Which leads quite naturally to the issue of profound gratitude. Trying to be truly grateful for this moment-by-moment gift of life, while carrying the emotions of sadness or depression or any other of the reactions that we choose to endure, doesn't allow us to be alive. Life is the ultimate gift, the one that keeps giving. To appreciate that fact, we have to get over expectations and feelings of entitlement. Much harder done, I know, than said. It's difficult to get our minds around the notion that love is all there is, because thousands of years ago, the powers that be chose to invent the notion of dualism. And we have continued to swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. Call it what you may, me and you, they and us, good and bad, virtue and sin, heaven and hell. The concepts are fantasies and products of the imagination of fearful folks anxious to exercise as much control as they can over the natural state, which is pure, unconditional love. That's a natural state. That's where it all comes from, and that's where it all is at its very base. Take a look at the incredible synchronicities that flourish in nature. There's no dualism there, simply pure love. As you know, some of you will remember the song, "Give Me a Home Where the Buffalo Roam and the Deer and the Antelope Play." You know, that's like, it's asking for a natural state of affairs, which is where unconditional love exists. It's impossible to consciously watch a sunrise or a sunset or 1,000,001 other miracles that are happening around us all the time without acknowledging that the source can be anything less than pure love. There is no basis for any evil in what's natural. Just as we manage to hang on tenaciously to the contrived notion of evil and the concept of a devil, we have chosen as tenaciously to ignore the admonition in the sixth commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." You remember when that was first announced to the universe? "Thou shalt not kill." I mean, what is there to modify about that? How can you possibly take those words and convert them into what we see? That we see. It's our vision. The yes, but to that clear command. So having referred to a biblical, pre-biblical reference, let me add that it's my conclusion that the fable of Adam and Eve has done tremendous damage to people, particularly the fairer sex, throughout history.
Hey, I say Eve was framed.
What a difference perspective we might be sharing if the two were allowed through fantasy, because that's what it is, to remain in paradise and happily side by side in unconditional love ever after. Look where we'd be if that was the paradigm that we chose to believe. There are no yes buts in pure love, my friends. And once enough people walk that walk the walk, the paradigm shift will be transformative. And guess what? It begins with each one of us. You know, waiting for somebody else is the joke of the times and of the millennium. Not only is that true, that love is all there is, but now is all that's real. All the rest is camouflage, stories. As the great bard observed, life is a tale told by an idiot. Not to demean the good old days or the ones to come, we make a choice of either living contemporaneously, moment by moment. I call that being alive, aware, and ticking. Or we flounder in time zones without any aliveness, just imagination or projected experience. Life is about original material. First-time productions. First-time show. It's not about reruns. And we consider all of the time we spend on reruns in our lives. It's such a waste. And it's habitual. And with a lot of effort, we can wake up and just be here in the moment. Being mindful, alert, and conscious takes effort because we do so much by rote. When was the last time you experienced brushing your teeth? You know, you do it 2, 3 times, maybe 4 times a day. But have you ever actually experienced brushing your teeth? I mean, that's the issue. Are you alive and aware, or are you on some form of rerun? How about eating your cereal and still being hungry because you don't know you ate your cereal? Or drinking your coffee, not tasting it, but you drink your coffee because every day, you know, you have to have your cup of coffee, or 10 or 15 or, you know, or whatever. But do you experience it? Or have you had the experience, I can vouch for this, of reading a passage over and over again, especially like a court summary or an appeal decision or something. And I read it over and over again because somehow when I was reading it, I wasn't paying attention to what I was reading. That's called existing. That's not called living. It's not called being in the now. Real living is about paying attention as our existence unfolds. Period. Period. All else, if you'll excuse the language, is mental masturbation. And oh, do we do a lot of it. It's not that we haven't experienced living in the now. We all did when we first arrived in this world, and until it was literally drained out of us with the don't do this, the don't do that, the be this way, not that way, the stand up straight, the in this family we act this way, the why can't you be like your father or your mother or the kid down the street. You get the picture. We go from infants with an extremely excited spontaneity and desire to discover new things to boring, monotonous, acquiescing automatons, predictable robots, if you will. The present, the now, is about renewed self-discovery. It's about seizing every moment as if it were the last, because guess what? It is the last. There is no promise of the next moment. And the moment that passed is going to do us no good whatsoever. It is about surrendering to what is without whimpering. And some of us have a lot to whimper about, and I'm not belittling that. But the question is, does it do us any good? Or wishing that things were different. It's about giving up all of the following. Suffering. Suffering is optional. You've got to make a decision to suffer. And if you're conscious, it's very difficult to say, well, this is the only moment I have and I'm going to suffer. Can't do it. It's about expectations. It's about pain. It's about revenge. It's about fault-finding and the myriad of other negative, debilitating emotions and feelings that weigh us down. Living in the now allows for freedom from all that baggage. I don't know if any of you heard the, of course I can't remember, the emotional baggage. I can't remember the comedian's name, but he did an incredible piece on the baggage that we carry with us. George Carlin, thank you. God rest his soul. And it has, and it has absolutely no good, this baggage that we, some of us actually get to a point where we can't even stand up straight anymore because there's so much baggage going on. And it does no good, and it creates so much pain. So, returning to Shakespeare, As You Like It, for more wisdom. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man or woman in his time plays many parts. His, her acts being 7 ages. At first the infant, and then it goes on. I could keep going. I'll just tell you that the infancy stage, the whining schoolboy stage, we've all been through that, the maudlin stage, the soldier stage, the justice stage, and the old age stage, and of course finally death. But the point is, wherever you are in those stages, all that's real is right now. And when you get caught up in the stages, you're not living. You're not being. One of the other readings that I was going to do, that I am now going to do, is called Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter. For always they will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it's a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery, but let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive Him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. I'm running over, but of course I'm a lawyer, so what do you expect? I'm just going to say 2 more things. Fear is the opposite of love. And fear is false evidence appearing real. So remember that every time you're scared. First of all, you're not living in the now. You can't be scared of the now. But second of all, it's going to turn out not to be so. And finally, consider this. We grew up thinking that there's this world out there, and we're outside it. Well, I suggest you consider this. Forget being there, and think about being here. Because whether you like it or not, you create the world. And you create your world. And so make it a happy one. So may it be.